I really don't know. The writing side of things actually comes from... I've always liked writing anyway since I was a kid. In fact, I think that anything that you loved doing as a kid, that's what you should be doing. I think that's a telltale sign when you're a kid, and anything that you really enjoyed is really a path to look into.
Yeah.
When you're older, you know, because quite often you get sort of steered into other things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was writing, singing, oh God, anything, painting, dancing, you know, all those things I still love doing now. But the writing side of things, I'd written a children's book. It started off as a song, a lyric that just came to me. And I wrote this kids' book, and then I sent it off to loads of publishers, and it kept getting rejected and rejected. And I kind of put writing on the back burner then. I thought, nah, you know, like you do. Then you get into doing other things. And then when I'd had my little girl, I'd given birth to her, and I was at home a lot, and just kind of sat about wanting something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across this ad for this thing called the Writers Bureau, which is like a course, an online, offline really, but sort of partially online course, where you can, they set you assignments to do, so it's a bit like kind of college, but you're at home, you know.
Yeah.
And the first assignments is in the non-fiction sector, so you get to write things for magazines. So I started off actually writing articles for magazines, with the, you know, intention that one day I would get to the fiction part of the course. And then I'd be able to write my books, but I've never ever got to it, because I got to the non-fiction writing for magazines, and I got into writing the book, and then I got into writing my second book, and now I'm writing my third book as well now. So
the first book, which is called Soul Companions, Conversations with Contemporary Wisdom Keepers, a collection of encounters with spirit. What can you tell people that that's about?
It's the kind of yin to the yang of the Dangerous Man book. It's really the starting point for everything. I kind of feel that spirituality, if you like, needed to be explored.
Yeah.
Not in a religious sense, and not in a New Age sense in that way, but that all the faiths needed to be kind of investigated. Not investigated, but I wanted to interview people basically to find out what guided them in life, because there was this whole thing at the time for me of wanting to know what my spirit guide was, and so I was kind of looking into that and trying to find answers myself. So I was asking all these different kind of people who had different experiences, what theirs were, and that was quite an intriguing thing. But I didn't kind of I haven't planned this. I hadn't planned then to write The Dangerous Man afterwards, but it just kind of naturally happened as to balance the first book. It kind of felt to me, it's like, it's a good thing to be spiritually informed.
Yeah.
And to read other people's experiences is always interesting, fascinating even, and it's a great honour to hear what someone else has got to say, for them to share that with you, because it's quite intimate, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to have the information, the worldly information, if you like, the knowledge to back it up. But it's like Michael Tsarian. He, at the first art convention, when he did the introduction, he talks about knowledge being sacred. And yeah, it is. It's sacred because it's to do with, like he says, it's to do with selfhood. It's to do with understanding yourself. These are very sacred subjects that we explore, you know, this research side of things. So in many ways, the two things, the spiritual and the information, they're part of the same path. They're not separate at all. It's this duality again. No, knowledge is sacred because it has to do with the selfhood. End of.
Yeah.
And that's it. But yeah, I mean, Soul Companions was brilliant kind of. I don't think I would have been able to have written The Dangerous Man first.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because obviously you wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. You wouldn't be able to immediately tell, I don't think, when you read about them both, which one came first.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I suppose the more spiritual side of things is where I've come in on this whole, I don't know, alternative research scene. I'm coming in from that angle, if you like, and that's what I came across first. But I never was comfortable with the more kind of the ungroundedness of much of it. And I kind of feel, for me, that a lot of this stuff that we're researching now, especially with the history and the science and stuff like that, this is all very grounding.
Yeah.
As well as being quite mind expanding as well, and you know, it's a balance. It's finding that balance between the two. But then after these 2 books now, and I've started writing my 3rd book, which is called Muse.
Right.
I've got a blog actually called The Muse, which you can get to from the Art Convention website, and basically it's going to be a book of inspiration. So it's going to be interviewing people who are artists, and I don't know whether that's like actors or musicians, dancers, sports people, painters, sculptors, writers, poets, you know, and because I feel that it's like the you know, if we're talking about Trinity, like we were talking about it earlier on, you know, a balanced Trinity, not the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, a load of rubbish, but you know, so you've got if you're looking at it from a more scientific point of view, John Depew in The Dangerous Man, talking about the positive magnetic currents, the negative magnetic currents, and the neutral line or gap that separates both magnetic forces. So it's like the 0 point.
Absolutely.
And that this is a recipe for the building blocks for all life on the material plane. So, you know, I mean, this is the origin of the tri-spiral and the golden ratio that the ancients knew about and incorporated into their sacred symbols and buildings. And this is how we were before duality, which is really a kind of psychosis. You know, somewhere in the ancient past we've split ourselves in 2, and now we're really dealing with the result. It's a very obvious thing. So getting that balance right. So for me to write 2 books, at first I thought, this is you know, these 2 are companions, and they are soul companions of Dangerous Man. You got to read them both. You know, they're both important. But it's not just about that, because once you've merged the 2 and you marry the 2, it's like balancing yourself, isn't it? Achieving the balance of masculine and feminine energy. And when you achieve that balance, and you have that marriage of so-called opposites, which is sometimes referred to as an alchemical wedding, and you move out of duality into Trinity. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm moving out of duality with these 2 books into Trinity, and the glue that is the gap between the 2 is the Muse.
That's it.
And that's exactly, it fits. It's so strange, but I have not planned this. Everything I do is very much serendipitous. There's a lot of synchronicity involved, and I think in everyone's lives too. If you're really going to look at your life, why are you where you're at today? It's through a series of so-called random events and synchronicities.
And it always seems to be that way as well, doesn't it? I mean, you'll have spoken to many people who have explained things like synchronistic events, or just a bizarre series of events which all culminate in bringing you in a certain place. And it all feels like it sometimes does happen for a particular reason. And when you were talking about duality and Trinity there, some people have obviously spoken about that we were, you know, we did experience a split in the past. And one way I look at that is we're sort of relearning who we really are, and that's how we bring the Trinity on board. So rather than it being a physical